This first post is our starting reference point for the layout. So how do we make sure post 1 and post 2 are perfectly level? The distance between them is 14 feet, which is a pretty long span. Thanks for coming back to the channel. We really appreciate your support. Today, we're going to show you how we built this pergola from start to finish. Before we jump in, hit like and subscribe. I can't guarantee it, but it might help your chances of getting into heaven. These are the materials we'll be working with for this project. Here's the material list for this pergola project. We're using 4 8x8x10 pressure-treated posts, 4 2x10x20 beams, 13 2x6x18 rafters, 11 2x4x18 purlins, and 4 8x8 post bases. You can build a pergola with different types of wood, but today we're using pressure-treated lumber. It's a solid choice for outdoor projects. To give you a quick breakdown of the process first, we're installing the post bases. Then the posts go up, followed by the beams. And finally, we'll set the rafters on top. At this point, we've finished installing the post bases. We actually filmed setting the 4 post bases perfectly at 90 degrees, but unfortunately that footage is missing. Now we're going to notch out both sides of the posts to match the thickness of the beam and get them installed. We've set the first post. Getting it perfectly plumb is really important, so we staked it into the ground and braced it solid with 2x4s. This first post is our starting reference point for the layout. So how do we make sure post 1 and post 2 are perfectly level? The distance between them is 14 feet, which is a pretty long span. A laser level would be a great way to do this. But on a bright day like today, the laser line is almost impossible to see. That's why I decided to use an old-school leveling method. It takes a little more work, but it's extremely accurate. As you all know, when you pour water into a cup and let it settle, the water stays perfectly level. That's exactly the principle we're using today. Nature's perfect level. Ever wonder what happens when you fill a clear hose with water? No matter how you move the hose, the water will eventually settle. When it does, that's a perfectly level reference point. The length of the hose doesn't really matter. The important thing is making sure there are no air bubbles inside. Air bubbles can throw off your accuracy. Assuming there are no air bubbles, this is, without a doubt, the most perfect level on Earth. All right, let's head out to the field and see how it works. I'm giving this end to Jonathan. He's just going to hold it steady, and once the water settles, I'll tell him to mark the line. That's our perfect level. Since post 1 is our reference post, Jonathan just has to hold his end steady while I align the water level with my line here. Since these 8x8 posts are extremely heavy, we're going to stand a 2x4 up plumb to transfer the mark and then cut them to that exact length. Take a look at this. Posts number 1 and number 2 are sitting on a stone pad, while posts number 3 and number 4 are set on a concrete footing. There's about an 11-inch difference in height, but by using a water level, getting them perfectly level is no problem at all. Now we're going to move on to crafting the beams and the rafter tails. There are no set rules for rafter tails, so you can just draw whatever design you like. You can use a plate or even a container lid. I drew a few different shapes myself during this project. Once you make one sample template, you can just keep copying it. There are a few different ways to cut out rafter tails. You can use a jigsaw and clean it up with a router, or you can use a bandsaw. For this project, I chose to cut them with a jigsaw and smooth them out with a grinder. It might not be the most precise method, but it's definitely the quickest and easiest way. I'm going to show you a quick clip of me cutting the rafter tails with the jigsaw and smoothing them out with the grinder, and then we'll move on to the next step. When you're drawing your rafter tails, make sure to avoid any knots in the wood. If there's a knot right where you're cutting, it can weaken the wood or cause it to split later on. To keep things moving efficiently, we split up the work. Jonathan did the layout, I did the cutting, and Alberto handled the cleanup and sanding. The beams are finished, and now we're setting them into the notched posts and securing them with screws. We notched the posts to match the exact thickness of the beam. Since we already marked where the beam needs to go, all we have to do now is line it up with that mark in the edge of the post. And what that means is our posts are perfectly plumb. Just for your reference, these are the screws we're using here. They hold like crazy. To interlock the rafters with the beams, we notched them out 1.5 inches. All right, everything is prepped. Let's go ahead and start flying these rafters into place. Look at these 4 beams. They look straight from a distance, right? But in reality, the centers are sagging, and the height difference between beam 1 and beam 2 is completely off. We're out here forcing some parts open, clamping some together, and jacking up the low spots. Trust me, picking premium lumber in the first place delivers a better finish and saves you a ton of headaches and time. We've got some slight twisting and warping on these beams. To fix this, we need to mark the rafters and shave off about 1/8 of an inch. It's perfectly aligned, both vertically and horizontally. Time for the slats. We're running them a bit long first, then we'll trim them down right along the beam line. Next step is making the brackets and bases. Once those are done, this project is complete. Finally, the pergola is all done. It turned out absolutely beautiful.